Hi, everybody. Thank
Hello.
you all so much for joining us today. This is a great one because we are going to be talking all sorts of beginner gardening today and getting started. And hopefully, it helps inspire all of you. I know it will definitely be inspiring to me too. I'm so excited to get started.
So if you're new to growing, if you just download the app and got this notification and you want to start growing food, this is for you. We're going to talk all about how to get started. We're going to cover all the basics of where to grow and how to grow and what to grow in the next hour, pretty much.
Yeah. And if you are new here too, my name is Carrie, and this is my husband Dale. We are the creators of the Seed to Spoon app that hopefully you all have. If you don't, here, let me pop up a QR code too. Here we go. So we are the creators of Park Seeds app from Seed to Spoon. We started gardening back almost 11 years ago now. And we turned our Oklahoma backyard from Bermuda grass over to just a whole bunch of gardens. I mean, as you can see, like I think this was 2 or 3 years later, and we just we became obsessed. And along the way, I mean, there's a huge learning curve, I feel like, for us because we had never done it before. And it was, I mean, it was super fun, but we were like, I really wish that there was an app for this to help like keep us organized and help remind me of planting dates so I don't have to constantly be doing math all the time of calculating out when's my last frost date and all that. So anyways, you can say, I mean, here we go. It was history. We ended up getting together and creating this app with a couple friends, and it's been amazing. It is super helpful. I mean, I use it out in my garden like literally every single day. I am always always holding up the app for something, whether it's talking to Growbot, the AI chat assistant, like sending a picture being like, hey, what's wrong with my plant, or what pest is this, or just logging that I started some seeds and that my seeds have sprouted, and yeah, all of that. So many things that I'm always doing in there. So I hope it's as helpful for you guys as it is for me.
So before we get into it, I do want to share that there's an awesome deal right now on Park Seed.
Oh,
So yeah, so the biodome. Carrie, can you show the biodome that you've got behind you? Um,
yes. Here, hold on.
I'll pop it up. So biodome. This is the ultimate tool for seed starting. We use these exclusively for seed starting pretty much at this point. And you can see we've got some little sprouts in there now. This
Yay,
makes
it's
it so
exciting.
easy to start your own seeds, and this will save you so much money in the long run if you start your own seeds, and also just so much frustration. And we really like starting our own seeds instead of relying on transplants from the store. It's going to really save you a lot of money. And this biodome is normally $40, and today it is on sale for $25. So it looks like we're running this sale until the 15th. So jump on this one, y'all. This is a really good deal. There's three different sizes. There's a 40 cell, a 60 cell, and an 18 cell. I recommend getting like at least a 40 and probably an 18, but that 60 is really handy as well. So we use the 18 for things like tomatoes and peppers. Things are going to get big. We'll use that 40 cell for things more like maybe like broccoli, cauliflower. And then the 60 cell is awesome for lettuce and basil and things like that. That we're just gonna, I just want them to get sprouted, and then I'm gonna get them transplanted out really quick. I just want to. A lot of these are going into our green stock that we have in our sunroom. That's right behind me right here. So we have a couple more of these that we're going to be planting into. And if I were to just start seeds directly in that green stock, it would take probably twice as long at least for them to
Well, I
germinate.
wouldn't have, yeah, the germination rate because we've tried it before, and it's just more difficult because you have to remember to water like a couple times a day while they're seed starting because you need to make sure the seeds stay moist. So it's just a whole lot easier to just germinate them ahead of time in the biodome. Yeah.
So we'll get into seed starting later and all that, but this deal is going on for a couple of days, so I want to make sure I mentioned it. And then also you get free shipping on every order from Park Seed if you're a premium subscriber to yearly in our app. So that's another big reason to become a yearly subscriber, is to get free shipping on all your orders from Park Seed. So, with that said, let's jump in and talk about how you can get started with growing. And we also have a contest going, by the way. If you leave a comment during this live stream, then we will choose a winner at the end. And at the end, we're also going to announce our winner from last week. So everyone that left a comment during the live stream after it went to YouTube and it was posted out there, everyone from there was entered to win a giveaway as well. So if you're watching this after the fact, you can still enter to win just by commenting on that YouTube video, and you'll be entered to win. And we will announce both winners at the end of this live stream, one from now and then one from the comments from last week. So these are all the benefits you get from being a 1-year premium subscriber. And this, I guess I didn't mention what you win. You win a 1-year free membership to our app. This gives you all the benefits listed on the screen, including that free shipping I mentioned earlier, unlimited use of the app. We're also going to give you a free packet of seeds from Park Seed as well. So just comment and join the discussion. We've got a lot of people that are here every week, and it's awesome to see all of you in the chat and to be friends with y'all is what it's like over the years. So
It
it's
really
awesome.
is, because I'm always like, oh, we're just going live and chatting with all of you guys, our friends.
Absolutely awesome. So jump in the chat, introduce yourself, let us know where you're from. All right. So let's talk about.
We do have. So last week we talked all about like growing food in 2026, like kind of a walkthrough of what it looks like from beginning to end, and things you might encounter along the way, all that. But, anyways, on that we also did a giveaway too. So I wanted to pull that up really quick too. So because we do have a winner from last week as well, because we do 2 winners, one live and one after the fact. So congratulations to Patty Eldred. So send us an email at info@seedspoon.net and we'll get you hooked up.
Carrie, I'm seeing the Guinevere as the text on there. That restream bug is happening again.
Weird.
I know what everyone else is in, but
yeah, it shows Patty for me, but I don't know. Yeah, it is Patty.
All right. So let's end and talk about how to start growing your own food. So the first thing you need to consider if you want to start growing food, and the most important thing, is location. So a couple different factors in play here. You've got sunlight is going to be the first thing I would consider. So what are you wanting to grow, and how much sun does that need? And this is one of the ways our app will help you out, because every plant will list how much sun it requires. You can also filter by that as well. At a high level, greens and root crops and stuff like that can handle more shade than things that are going to produce fruit like tomatoes or peppers. So, but you really need to understand how the sun works around your property or around your porch or whatever it is. You need to just, before you plant anything or start building anything, just observe for a couple days how much sunlight an area gets. I think there's also some online tools that can let you like punch in your address and it'll show you sunlight for different places and stuff. But this is something to like really think about. And it's also something to think about from the perspective of how the sun changes through seasons too, because when we planted our garden in the beginning, we didn't think about how the sun was going to be in October. And then we had a fence that became shaded in October because the angle of the sun changed. So that's an important thing to think about. Ease of convenience is also super important, because if your garden is too far away from you, you're probably not going to spend as much time in it. I think this garden that I have right behind me is just like a testament to that, because it's been probably our favorite garden. It is right off of our kitchen, right to the left of Carrie right now. And we can just walk right out there and get, we've been harvesting so much spinach and lettuce and Swiss chard and mustard this past week, and it's been awesome. So if you have a place that's close to your kitchen that you can have a garden area, I highly recommend that, because you will use it much more. I'm always popping in there to get some herbs for whatever I'm making, and if I had to go all the way out to the garden, I probably wouldn't go out there as much.
Yeah, also too, like the more like closer it is to you, the more you're going to notice like if there is an issue. So if your plants need watering, or if there's a pest issue, or just some sort of other issue, you're going to spot it a lot faster because it's right there. You're seeing it every day. You're out there in it. So it's always a lot better to have it be very convenient and right next to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Access to water is also another big one, because if it's too far away from your water source, then that's going to be, you got to either buy a bunch of hoses or it's going to be a problem. So if you have a water source nearby, that's going to make it much easier. It's going to help you keep your plants healthy. And then, the ease of convenience, we've kind of talked about that with location already, but all of these things, should factor in. And we're going to be talking about two different ways of growing here as we go. So if you're growing like out in a backyard in the ground, we're going to talk about that. But also if you're living somewhere that doesn't have a yard, or you just have like a balcony space or a patio or something like that, we're going to talk a lot about that too. So we're going to cover both sides of the spectrum there. Any questions on this before we move on, or anything you want to add, Carrie?
I don't think somebody was asking too, like, where can you go online to find out how the sun shines at your house? I know we've in the past like had little devices that we put out. Is there somewhere that you
Yeah,
can?
I'll try and find it. There was a Google Maps tool that I saw at one point where you could like pull up your house and it would like show you how the angle was, but it was in one of my nerd circles. I'll have to find it. It's been a couple years. I'm betting there's an app out there for it. So, Carrie, let's find it, and then we can maybe make a video talking about that app. We can shout out that
Okay,
app.
yeah, I will look and see what I can find. Yes. So Harry Warp was saying a lot of backyards here are concreted over. So we will definitely talk about ways you can still garden even if you have just concrete or a patio or a porch. Because, like I said, like everything that's behind Dale right now in that picture is on concrete too. And it's, I mean, probably like, I mean, we're getting more than enough right there from just that little small room. It's more than enough for us.
And that'll keep you from having to deal with Bermuda grass,
Yes.
because Bermuda grass is a nightmare. So when we first started growing, we tried just putting down some very thin layers of cardboard, and that was a disaster because the Bermuda just grew right through it all, and then we ended up with a mess of Bermuda mixed with wood chips. So the second year, um, we went full throttle and laid down cardboard over our entire yard. That picture there is she's now our 15-year-old, but that's her in action laying down our cardboard back then. And then we got loads and loads of wood chips. So wood chips are something that a lot of people don't realize you can often get for free. And I always cringe when I'm at the store and I see someone loading up with a whole cart full of wood chips. They're about to go spend $100 on them. And if I'm in a social mood, I'll tell them sometimes that you can go to, in Oklahoma, there's the Norman Compost Facility, and you can get as many wood chips as you want for free. We have a dump trailer now, so I'll take it in and get like a whole dump trailer load and bring them out here. But back when we just had the truck, we would just have them dump it in the back of the truck and then use these wheelbarrows to move it back and forth. And I was in much better shape back then because I did this a lot. And maybe I should get back to using wheelbarrows
Well, I was
instead
gonna
of.
say too, like I've known people that take just like little totes with them and fill it up that
Yeah,
way too. I mean, even if you don't have access to a truck or a trailer, you can still
yeah.
just take like a storage tote with you or something along those lines, even a bucket or two. Like, I mean, just you can be creative and use a car.
But if you put down a layer of cardboard and about 2 feet of wood chips, that will solve the Bermuda problem. Now you want to make sure on the cardboard, like if you do a bunch of small Amazon boxes, it's going to be very annoying, especially if you get a wind gust. We try and like you see that really big box we had was probably from like a refrigerator or something. I collected boxes on Facebook for a while. Just posted, hey, if anyone gets any large TVs or anything like that, let me know. We'd love to have those boxes. So I just collected. I think I eventually found a source of like a supplier that had a bunch of giant boxes. They were like selling generators or something. But Anyway, if you're resourceful and look online a little bit, you can find sources and stuff like this. So we covered our entire backyard with wood chips. So that original picture that I showed earlier, let me pull that back up. So all of this, pretty much from the air conditioner over, we just covered the whole thing with wood chips, and that here's a picture of what we ended up with. It pretty much solved our Bermuda problems. So, but Bermuda is a pain in the butt, and if you have it, you don't want to skimp on this step because you'll be fighting Bermuda your whole first gardening season, like I did. I spent my first gardening season fighting Bermuda more than I did anything else.
Yeah,
Uh,
very true.
it was miserable. So,
And I do want to call out too what Harry Warp shared right here was Chip Drop. So this is a really great online resource for you as well. I think it's getchipdrop.com or something like that. You go in and you sign up for it, and they will it gets you connected with local arborists that are cutting down trees and mulching them, and they will come and dump a huge dump trailer full of wood chips on your front lawn wherever. We came home one day and had like our entire side like just huge amount of wood chips. It's amazing the amount of wood chips you can get for free with Chip Drop too. So that's a really good resource as well.
yeah, it's a good shout out.
Yeah, so Penny, so definitely check into that Chip Drop. Also just local compost facilities. I know we mentioned ours. I mean, there's a lot of cities that we live around too that, I mean, pretty much every city around here has a local compost facility. So try calling around to and see if you have a local compost facility and see if you can get some.
And they're usually county based. So search for whatever county you're in and then compost facility on Google Maps and see what pops up. And you may have to go a county over. Within us, we've got 3 within an hour that we can go to. We can get wood chips and we also get compost. We can get compost from there too. Now we'll talk about that in a bit because there's some caveats with getting compost from a public place like that. But wood chips are fine. I'm not concerned about any of the issues I am with compost when it comes to wood chips and getting that like a county place. Okay, so once you've got uh, so let's talk about now the different places that you can grow. Um, so we'll start with outside, like in a backyard setting, kind of like we were talking about. So you can go with wooden raised beds. That's what we've done for a lot of ours. Um, it's going to be, yeah, this is a picture of what we have right now. So these are wooden raised beds we built with just standard lumber that we got from Lowe's. There is a whole rabbit hole you can go down of what type of wood to use, and there's a lot of people that like to comment on our videos that go viral because they see that we're not using cedar and they have a lot to say about it. So if you want to talk a lot, if you want to talk about what kind of wood to use, there's a lot of people on the internet that would love to talk to you about it. My perspective is the carcinogenic stuff that was used to treat pine back in the day has changed over the years, and it's not what it used to be. Um, so take that with a grain of salt. Everyone has their opinion on it, and I'm not here to debate that. So, but the fact of the matter was, when we built our gardens, I could not have afforded. I wouldn't have been able to build all of them using cedar because cedar is probably 3 times as much as it is for pine here. So you can do extra things like lining the inside of them. Typically, you're lining it with plastic, and then you'll have the other half of the internet mad at you because you use plastic. So um, it's up to you what option you want to go with there. But when it comes to wooden raised beds, they've been built. I mean, here's the thing about them, though. They're only going to last 5 years, probably tops, before they start to fall apart. If you start moving them around or doing anything, they're going to fall apart faster. Um, we've tried to switch into using alternatives for the past, I don't know, probably 5 years. We've leaned pretty heavily into using more smart pots instead. So smart pots are raised beds, but are made out of fabric, and that gives them a couple of advantages over wooden raised beds. Number one, they're going to last longer. Now, that may sound crazy because it's fabric, and you think, how can that last very long? But when I was first introduced to these, it was at a nursery that had them that were 10 to 15 years old. And they were a little rough around the edges, but they were still working fine. They were still doing their purpose. So that's one benefit you're going to get out of them is just longevity and cost savings. You're going to save so much money by going with just a bunch of the smart pots instead of building out wooden raised beds over the life of your garden. They're also highly portable. If I want to move these around the yard, now the big ones are heavy, so it takes a couple of us. Carrie and I are both like grabbing a handle and pulling it. Like you can empty soil out of it to make it easier, but they are portable. Like this picture Carrie shows, when we moved from that house we showed in the beginning out to the farm that we're on now, we took our garden with us. So we had like 5 trailer loads, I think, of smart pots by the time we were all done.
Probably, yeah.
We took along the way. So those are some of the practical benefits, but there's also a lot of growing benefits that come with them as well. Um, on standard raised beds or containers, really, containers are the big issue here. If you were to grow like a plastic container, when the roots hit the side of the container, they're going to start circling and they're going to become like real thick and fibrous and they're going to stop serving their purpose at that point. So you've probably seen this if you bought a plant from the store and you pull it out and you see that like thick ring of roots all around it. That's bad because those roots aren't doing anything helpful at that point. They're just circling and they're blocking off air and nutrients. And what happens instead with the smart pot is when the roots hit the side of that fabric raised bed, they stop and then they form these tiny little roots that kind of like suction themselves to the side of the smart pot. And then that continues to bring in oxygen from the outside. So our plants that are in smart pots are able to get so much more oxygen than plants that are planted either directly in the ground or in containers. So, and we've seen some pretty big results in tests we've done where we've grown things side by side, where like one's in a smart pot and one's in a container. Um, Other benefits of them, you can put them in like a kiddie pool in the summer if you want to go to the lake for the day, but you notice that your plants are looking droopy. You can just put them in a kiddie pool with a couple inches of water, and then they will water from below, which really helps with having healthy plants if you're not watering from above. And we'll talk about watering as we get a little more into this. But um, Vigo gardens are another option, kind of along this line. They're metal raised beds, and we've got one of these as well. They're going to be more expensive than smart pots, so they are probably going to last longer though. I mean, those are going to last forever. It's metal. I guess eventually it could possibly rust, but they're galvanized and they've got a coating on them, so they're going to last a very long time. Those are also good options, but like I said, they're going to be more expensive than the smart pot option. Um, and then in the ground, obviously, is always an option as well. There are some caveats that come with that, though. Number one, you're going to be much more prone to flooding problems. So if you have a raised bed and it's like 2 feet tall or even a foot and a half tall, if it floods, that area is going to drain first. If you're planting directly in the ground, you can't control that. And last year we had the most amount of rain I think we've had in Oklahoma history in the month of like March and April. It was just torrential rains, and we had one day where our garden literally flooded. There was a river running through our garden, and if we were growing in the ground, everything would have been ruined. But we were perfectly fine because we had these smart pots, and the water just went around them, and they did just fine. So um, we don't really grow anything in the ground besides like maybe berry bushes, like a blackberry plant I would put in the ground, something like that that grows native around here. But none of our annuals are going to grow directly in the ground. There's also a lot more work that goes into getting your soil right if you're growing in the ground, because you're starting with whatever you got, and then you've got to work that soil and continue to add stuff to it to get it to the point where it's good. And that can take a couple years. Um, and a lot of work. And I don't have the back for that anymore. So I'm not doing that. But if you make your
So,
own,
yeah, I was going to say there's definitely like positives and negatives to every method of growing. So it really just depends on what works best for you in your area, what you have the space for, where you're going to be growing. I mean, it's just it's going to be different for everybody on what works best for you.
So I think that pretty much covers where to grow. If you're on a patio, we didn't show one other option here are the towers we've started growing in recently.
Oh,
So
yeah. I can't believe I didn't do that.
the green stalk towers, that's another option for patio too. So these are grow towers, and there's a water reservoir in the middle, and the water flows down to each level. And these are just amazing for what you see now with lettuce. We have a couple tomatoes that like are volunteer tomatoes that are growing in one, so we're going to see how that goes. We're experimenting with growing some larger things in here, but for lettuce and basil especially, it is my favorite way to grow that. It's awesome. So these are great. They have these bases you can buy. We sell these through our store as well. Excuse me. And those bases will spin around, so it makes it easy to spin around and control the sun.
Equal sun, and yeah, these are amazing. You wouldn't believe how much food we get just from, I mean, it's like takes up 1 square foot of space, and it just goes up. I mean it's almost as tall as I am. I feel like it's close. It's probably like here, but still, like, it's amazing like how much food you can get in just such a small space. It's incredible.
So let's talk a little bit about if you decide to grow in one of these containers, what do you put in it, right? And there's a couple of different options here. You can just go to a local nursery or a store and buy potting mix is what you want to go with for your raised beds as much as possible. The reason for that is it's going to come with vermiculite, which is a little like when you look in potting mix and there's those little white flakes that are in it. That's basically it's a rock that is mined and then heated up until it explodes and becomes almost like popcorn, and it absorbs water really well. So that's one of the ingredients that actually goes into making your own soil mix, and you can save a lot of money by making your own soil mix. So we follow this method called Mel's Mix from the Square Foot Gardening book. It's one of the first books we started with, and this soil mix is pretty tried and true, and we've used it for a long time. And it's pretty simple to make. You basically just combine compost, vermiculite, and then either coconut coir or peat moss. You can use those interchangeably. We've switched over to using coconut coir more in recent years. It's become easier and easier to buy it. We'll buy it in bulk. I like the texture of it a lot more. And there's a lot of other reasons why people suggest coconut coir as well from like an environmental perspective. Um, but it's very simple to make this. You just mix these three ingredients together in equal parts. Now, vermiculite is going to be the most expensive out of all of these. It's probably $40 or $50 a bag for a 4 cubic foot bag. Um, you can skimp on that a little bit if you need to cut costs, but I would not skimp on the others, and especially compost. So compost is going to be the most important ingredient in the whole thing. It is the food source for your plants. You can make it yourself, and the picture here in the middle shows what we used to have in our garden in the city, where it was a compost bin where you move everything over from one bin to the other. This definitely works. It takes a long time to make your own compost. So if you're starting out, you're not going to be able to make it quickly enough to be able to start your beds. You're going to have to get compost from somewhere else. There's a number of places you can get them from. So I mentioned the county compost facilities earlier. Those, they do have compost, but I would recommend against getting your compost from there because you have no idea, and they have no idea, what they are making that compost from. They're taking in material from the community, piling it together, and then making compost from it. But that material could have herbicide in it, it could have pesticides in it, it could have who knows what in it. And we actually we were bitten by this problem very early when we started gardening. We got compost that was tainted with an herbicide from a field that horses have been grazing on because they were spraying that field with an aminopyrrolid, I think was the herbicide, and it killed everything that wasn't grass pretty much, which my tomatoes aren't grass. So it killed my tomatoes. And that herbicide can last up to 3 years as it works its way through the horse and then in the manure. And then as it works its way into compost, it can last up to 3 years. So we're very careful on compost sources now. We have a local supplier. It's a company that all they do is sell rocks and sand and compost and stuff like that. It's called Minnick Materials here in Oklahoma City. We're not paid by them or anything. It's just a shout out. They make good products. Excuse me. So we buy it in bulk from them. It's way cheaper. If you try and go to the store and get bad compost, number one, it's probably not going to be very good because who knows how long that compost has been just sitting on the shelf, not getting watered or not getting any of the stuff it needs. Because it is a living thing. You got to think about compost as basically it's a living thing. There's a lot of soil microbes and bacteria that are all good for your plants that are in that compost, and that's what your that's what your plants need for food. So, we buy our compost in bulk. The place we buy it from also has 4 different types of compost available, and we buy basically a little bit of each and mix it together because just like with humans, you're not really supposed to eat the exact same thing every single day. You're supposed to have a variety of nutrients that you eat. It's the same thing with your plants. The compost is going to be just like that. So if you get sources from a variety of places or a variety of options and mix them together, that can be good. There's a test that we'll do with compost generally anytime we buy from somewhere for the first time, or before I make like a whole bunch of beds with one, I'll do a test with it where you basically just grow out some pea seeds with a mix of that compost and a mix without it. And after 3 weeks, you'll see deformities in the peas if there's issues with that compost. Peas are very quick to show deformities and stuff, so they're a good thing to test with. So, Carrie, I think you've got a video where we've talked about this in the past. I think if they just go on our YouTube channel and search for or a blog post or something, we've got about
It
it.
is on our YouTube. Let me see if I can find it real quick too. But we did have another question from Cami. She was asking if wood chips would have similar issues too.
So I'm not as concerned about the wood chips because I know that those wood chips were a tree a couple of days ago, and it's not like it was a field of grass that had been sprayed, and then the grass had been cut, and then they brought the bag clippings into the compost facility, right? Like I know it was a tree, so I'm not concerned about the wood chips as much now. I am going to be careful about not using wood chips if they're from like a walnut tree or something, because walnut trees can impose growth of other things. So, um, but typically it's just a ton of cedar that we have, which are the best wood chips, honestly. Um, so as I'm going through the wood chip pile at the compost facility, like you can see, like you can tell a difference in cedar. They're red and you can smell them. It's a very distinct smell. So so usually I'm hunting out those cedar ones, but I'm not concerned about the wood chips like I am the compost when it comes to these facilities. So, long story short, you mix the compost, the vermiculite, and the coconut coir together, and what you have when you're done is basically looks just like the potting mix that you get from the store. There's a number of ways you can mix it together to make it easier. We've used tarps. We've used just barrels. You can just take one bucket at a time and mix it in. There's a lot of different ways to do it easier. But really at this point, like we just dump in a bucket at a time into the raised bed and then mix it directly in there.
Before we really quick, Anne was asked a few times about the green stalk towers. So I was going to pop this up for her. Yeah, Park Seed carries these green stalk vertical growing towers, and it has like the roller bottoms too, just like we were talking about before too.
Yeah,
So,
the whole kit
uh,
and everything.
and I popped the link in chat for you too. Okay. So the super fun part now that you have your containers or your ground ready or whatever you have ready to go. Now you get to pick what to grow. And that's probably the most fun part of it, right? So we always recommend, like, first of all, like, what do you want to actually eat? So, I mean, on the next slide, we'll share a few of the great, like, beginner plants to grow. But I mean, for me too, like, I'm not going to be one that's going to be like, I want to go grow mustard because I do not like mustard, but it is really pretty. So, and Dale likes to eat it, so we grow it. Um, but just look at your diet. What do you eat? What do you buy from the grocery store often? So things like spinach, lettuce, like that. If you are constantly buying things to make salads, try start replacing that. Or if you use Italian seasoning a lot, see if you can try to grow some of those herbs and try to replace some of those with some fresh green herbs. So there's a lot of things that you can replace in your regular diet without making too much of a lifestyle change. Be super simple.
Yeah, for us, it really started as like spinach and kale and lettuce because we were going to the grocery store and buying bags of it every week. And if you don't use it within like a day or two, then it goes bad and then you end up wasting all. And so it seems silly that we were spending that much on it when I walked by the seed aisle one day and saw a pack of seeds was like $4. I was like, well, why don't we should try that, you know? And that's where we started, and that's what got us hooked. So yeah, just pick what you like to grow, and then there's also a feature that Carrie, this was all her idea, the health conditions feature. So this was back when she was still nursing. So when we started this app, she was a nurse and she was teaching nursing at Oklahoma at OU, and um, she had this idea for an app where we could filter the health plants by their health benefits. So this is one of the early features we built to make it easy to identify what are the things you should be growing. So for me, I deal with a lot of anxiety issues and things like that. So we filtered by mental health, discovered that spinach and kale and a lot of things like that that are high in magnesium can really help out, and started growing a lot more of that. So that's a feature that I want to point you to. If you're not sure what to grow, you just know you want to start growing, then that's a good place. But Todd's advice here is the ultimate: grow what you like to eat.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, Paige sums this up. I mean, greens are extremely expensive, especially if they are organic greens. Yeah, we were spending so much money. And then also, like, I feel like we would get it, we would use half of it, and then we would come back the next day to use it, and it had already gone bad. And it's like, I just wasted all that money and used maybe half of the bag. But here, like, we're able to just harvest what we want to eat that day and then come back the next day, and it's still extremely fresh because we can harvest from it every day. It's amazing. It
Yeah,
definitely is life changing.
yeah, I highly recommend starting with growing lettuce and stuff like that. So that's why it's on our list of great beginner plants. But there's a lot of other plants that are really easy to grow as well that are great beginner plants. So I think I saw Harry had a comment earlier about beans and peas. Those are a great one to start with because they're very easy to grow, and it's kind of cool to grow because they grow up a fence. So if you have like a trellis or something like that, if you have a fence or something like that, they will just grow up it naturally without you having to do anything. So that's a really nice thing with beans and peas, and you'll get a ton from it. Peas you grow in the cool season, and beans you grow in the warm season. So we pretty much always have one of those going. Um, Basil, I know Carrie, basil is one of your favorite things to grow. You've got some specific varieties you like to talk about there.
Yes, I love the cinnamon or Thai basil. It is so pretty too because it almost has this like purple tinge, especially with those purple flowers that come on them. So pretty, smells amazing, and I love to add it to recipes in the kitchen. But basil is also what's called an amazing companion plant. So it helps a lot of the plants around you too by repelling pests and attracting beneficial insects to your garden. So it has a lot of benefits, and plus it's just super easy to grow too. It is one that, I mean, I have basil growing wild out in our garden now because we let it go to seed, and then it just goes and replants itself, and it comes back the next year. And I just, yeah, it is growing wild out there right now.
Yeah, it's very easy to grow. Now, it likes the heat. It doesn't do well in the cold. So the basil we have right now, we have in our sunroom, and we've got it like a little heater to keep it above 5.
Yeah,
But
I will say just like basil, cilantro too. I don't have it on here, but like that's another herb that's extremely easy to grow too, and that's in the cool season. So if you're looking for a cool season herb that's very easy to grow, try some cilantro too.
yeah, on the tomato front, tomatoes can be difficult to grow, but the best one to start with are cherry tomatoes. They're typically the easiest to grow. Um, they're one of the big reasons why they're the easiest to grow is because you don't have to wait, a month for a tomato to fully develop. Those cherry tomatoes, once they start forming, are going to be ready within a few days generally, or at least a week probably, depending on the timing. But it's much faster than the larger tomatoes, and you're going to have much more success with it. You're going to get a lot more tomatoes out of it as well. So I definitely recommend starting with cherry tomatoes. Usually, cherry tomatoes are going to be vining tomatoes. So you're going to want these on some sort of a trellis, or we use cattle panel arches for a lot of our tomatoes as well.
I will say though, if you don't have the space to grow them, try these kitchen minis. I have one actually growing right back here, and this has been growing all winter long, just sitting right there on my windowsill. It's incredible. I mean, you see the size of it. It's like this tall, and I get you can kind of see the little tomatoes I have growing on there, and we harvest from this thing quite often. Like every time we go through and have like a wrap or a salad, I'm going over here and I'm pulling a couple of tomatoes off of it. It's amazing to have like fresh food just right there. It doesn't require much at all. I mean, it just sits on my windowsill and I give it some water every couple days and it just goes good.
Broccoli is another one that I don't recommend growing the large varieties of broccoli as a beginner. What I recommend growing are hybrid varieties that produce a bunch of these side shoots. So this picture we have, like you see those little broccoli heads. There are certain varieties like Aspabroc that will produce just a whole bunch of these broccoli side shoots. And you're going to get broccoli a lot faster than if you're waiting for that full head to grow out. So we've also found that these varieties taste better as well. So broccoli is another one that, depending on where you live, if you live in a really hot area, you may have to start it indoors or by transplants. But if you're in a temperate area, then you should be fine starting it from seed directly outside. Again, this is one of the reasons why you need our app, because it will tell you exact dates for when you can plant it.
Yeah, and I will say too, like it's a lot faster growing these ones as well. You don't have to wait for that entire head to form. So that way you will like if you are pushing the dates a little bit and wanting to start it directly outside, like it won't be as big a deal because you will get your harvest faster because it's a lot smaller. You're not waiting for the big head to grow.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about lettuce already, so hopefully I've already sold you on lettuce. We'll skip over that. Peppers are one of the biggest bangs for your buck when it comes to growing your own food because you're going to get so many peppers off of just one plant. Um, we we use way more peppers than we ever have in the past now because we have so many. We've done things like pickling them to preserve them and freezing them to preserve them, and we pretty much have peppers year round because we get so many in the summer. It's one of those plants that it's going to take some heat for it to grow. This is something you're not going to plant until after your threat of frost is long past. You're probably a week or two past your last frost before you start planting these outside. But it's a plant that's going to make you feel really good as a gardener, hopefully, because usually you're going to get a ton of peppers off of a plant. There's not a lot of pest issues. In fact, peppers are often used to make your own sprays to spray other plants to keep pests off of them because pests do not like peppers. So using that principle in mind, we will plant peppers around other things that we want to protect because it will help protect those other things from pests. So highly recommend growing peppers, whether it's jalapenos or habaneros, which are really hot, or poblanos are probably my favorite one to grow. There's also
Bell peppers, yeah, and banana peppers. I am a huge fan of those sweet peppers. Oh, they're so good.
Yeah, there's a lot of peppers that aren't spicy at all. In fact, there's jalapenos peppers that are mild flavors that aren't spicy at all. Uh,
Hmm.
so even if you don't like spicy things, there's a pepper for you out there, and there's a lot of different ways to use them. I pretty much put our pickled peppers on everything I make. They're so good, along with pickled onions. Those are some of my favorite things now, and one of my favorite things to grow.
Yeah, and then radish is always an amazing beginner plant, especially with kids because they're super easy to plant because those seeds are pretty large, and then also you'll typically be able to harvest them within a month, and it's so much fun to be able to pull up root crops. Especially there's this variety. It's Park's Beauty Blend at Park Seed, and it is absolutely gorgeous. You have like almost like this rainbow variety of radish, and the kids love to grow that because they love harvesting all the different unique varieties out, or the in colors and shapes, and it's so much fun. It's definitely something I recommend growing with kids, and also um, just as a beginner, getting started and having success is important, and it's definitely one of the easier ones.
Zinnias are the ultimate husband hack. So um, they are so easy to grow. You just can take a pack of seeds, just throw them in an area, not really do much else, and the rain and everything else will make it to where in a couple months you've got a whole little patch of flowers that are perfect for cutting and putting into a vase and then handing to your wife, and it makes her very happy. And it's very little work you had to do for that. But it's the ultimate husband hack. There are so many varieties of zinnias. It's probably become our favorite thing to grow in the summer because it also makes me feel like a very good gardener in the summer when it's very hot outside and everything else is dying, but the zinnias are thriving and they're bringing in life and butterflies and everyone else. Everyone's hanging out at the zinnia patch in the summer when it's hot. So highly recommend growing zinnias. If you're just getting into flowers, I would start with those. Check out the Parks Picks
Oh my
zinnia.
gosh, yes.
They've got
They
the easy
were
stems.
taller than I was. That's
Yeah,
how big they were. And those stems are so sturdy. They make the perfect cutting flower because they just stay upright and perfect like forever. I was just amazed at them. I loved that variety.
yeah, it was perfect. And we've got like the whole house in on it now. So our son is picking a flower to take to his teacher at school. Uh, so yeah, zinnias are just the way to go if you want to grow flowers. They're so easy, but again, it's one of those heat things. So you're not going to plant these until about the time you're planting your peppers and basil outside. But but those are just a few of the things you can start with to grow. Um, Check out our app to see a full list of everything, and we and in our live streams too. I think the past couple of weeks we've talked about a lot of stuff related to this, about specific varieties and all that. So check out. We've been buying our seeds for vegetables and flowers for the spring and talking all about why we chose each variety in some of our recent live streams.
Okay, so let's talk fertilizer because I feel like this is everybody's question whenever they're growing. And the thing that makes people stress the most. But honestly, it's not that difficult and you don't have to really overdo it on the fertilizer. You don't have to overthink this at all. And honestly, if you have a really good soil mix, like Dale was talking about earlier with the Mel's mix, if you have a really good compost in there, you may not even have to do a whole lot of extra fertilizers too, because that compost is so important. It is so good and so helpful.
Yep. So we use the Espoma fertilizer. It's pretty much the only fertilizer we use when we do use fertilizer. Um, and it makes it really easy because they have different ones for each purpose. There's a tomato tone for tomatoes. There's a berry tone for berries. There's a lot of different options.
There's a
So
flower one. Yeah, there really is like one for everything with the Espoma. And there's also one that's like a basic, like be all and end all. But like it is super easy, makes it easy. I just grab a handful of that whenever I'm growing tomatoes. Tomatoes are the only thing I will say that I do always go in and add some extra fertilizer to. And I use this Espoma and I just grab a handful of it. I pop it at the base of the plant, work it into the top of the soil, water it in, and I go on about my business. Like, it is super fast, super easy. I do that every few weeks, and that's all I need to do. I log it in the Seed Spoon app so that way I can remember when I did it, so I can remember when to do it again. That's really all there is to it.
There is a soil test kit now that we carry as well,
Yes.
called My Soil Test. And it's really awesome and convenient because you just take a soil sample and mail it in, and then we will send you a report of what fertilizer you need. So if you search for soil tests on parkseed.com, you'll
I'm
be able
pulling
to find.
it too
Okay.
here. But yeah, we've done this. We did this in our garden, and it was really great because it tells you exactly what's lacking in your soil and what you need to add fertilizer wise or anything like that. And yeah, it's super helpful. There you go.
Awesome.
And you do get free shipping on that too, even if you aren't a um, premium seed to spoon user. Everybody gets free shipping on the test kits.
All right, so let's talk about some common mistakes that people make when they start gardening. And by people, I mean us. I think all of these are mistakes we make. So, overwatering is probably the biggest. So, in the very beginning, your seeds will appreciate all the water you can throw at them unless you're flooding it when they're germinating. Once they start to sprout, you need to start backing off. And by the time that they're getting developed, then you want to cut back to basically only watering whenever you can put your finger in the soil down to like here, your second knuckle, and it's dry. At that point, then water the bed really well to where it's fully saturated. And that's pretty much all you need to know about watering. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. Um, if you are watering too often and you're only watering the first couple inches of the soil and water never makes it down below that, then the roots of the plant are never going to go down further trying to find water. So you can create unhealthy plants and a lot of issues by watering every day a little bit. It's better to water a lot when it needs it and then don't water again until it needs it again. So some plants have slightly different requirements when they're fruiting or whatever is going on with it. All of that is in the app under each plant. So that's one of the reasons why we built the app as well, was to help keep track of that type of thing. Overcrowding is another mistake we've made in the past, of planting things too close together. Um, Now, there is this method of square foot gardening where you purposely plant things really close together. That's kind of a different thing. And I do recommend doing that with things like lettuce, where you plant like 16 per square and grow them very kind of bunched together and then harvest from them. But when it comes to things like tomatoes and peppers and especially broccoli and cabbage, because you really underestimate how big those plants are going to get when you set them out. So make sure you're leaving plenty of room between, and also don't put all of your broccoli together in one bed. So make sure you're spreading it out across beds and then surrounding it with different types of plants so that the pests aren't able to find all of your broccoli right there together in one spot. That's a big part of overcrowding as well. It's not just about having plants too close together, but too many of the same plants next to each other.
Yeah, and honestly, this next one is the one that gets us, the letting weeds take over. It is something that you need to stay on top of, and it's very, very easy to forget about it for a couple days or just be like, oh, I'll get it to it later, and then it's just out of hand. So just staying on top of the weed situation, and handling those as they come up is going to save your plants.
We talked earlier about your garden being too far away, too far out of sight. So again, make sure it's close enough that you can actually take care of it, and you're not going to neglect it. And you'll see when there's problems. And then, like Harry mentioned here, not mulching. So this is a huge thing. Make sure you're mulching both when it's really hot and when it's really cold. So in both scenarios, it's going to help you out. When it's really hot, it's going to insulate the soil and regulate the temperature. And when it's really cold, it's going to insulate the soil and regulate the temperature. So make sure you're mulching because that'll go a long way towards helping.
And then, of course, I had to throw in the not having the Seed to Spoon app to help track your plants and, yeah, and helping pay attention to what you are growing where. Like, I have all of my, this is my seeds I started the other day. I started some petunias. It's exciting. But I have like all of these garden beds in here. Like, and I have more seeds that I started here. I have my garden beds outside with things that I'm growing, and I go in there. I log when I last fertilized, when I last watered, and what's going on, if things have sprouted, and all of that. So definitely have that Seed to Spoon app.
All right, we barely made it in time. I was worried we weren't gonna be done by one when we were a couple slides back. So we made it. Do we have any questions? Cami, this live chat, we do this live stream every Tuesday at noon Central. And then sometimes we've got some other ones we do. Carrie, you've got one Thursday, right?
I do have one this Thursday on Park Seed. We're going over all the new seeds that are on Park Seed, which is super exciting. I'm really excited. I'm going to be joined by Jennifer with Park Seed and going over all of the new ones and what makes them unique and all of that. So it'll be a fun one.
And you can see all of the ones we've done in the past on our YouTube channel. They go up there when we're done being live, and then you can go watch them there. We've been doing this for a lot of years, so there's a lot to look at on there.
I will say here, you probably did nothing wrong with your zinnias too. I'm guessing it's probably just the variety because there's like hundreds of different varieties of zinnias out there. There are some that are compact and small, great for containers that get maybe like a foot tall. I love them too. They all have their purpose out there. But yeah, different varieties get different sizes. So if you want the larger ones, try the Parks picks at Park Seed. Those get very, very large. If you want smaller ones, there's also smaller ones too. I love it.
And if you have any other questions, or if you have any problems in your garden, we built Growbot to help you. So it's an AI chatbot that lets you take pictures of your garden or describe a problem, and it helps you with whatever you got going. This is one of the dreams when we first started building the app. I remember Justin and I, our lead developer, one of my best friends that I built the app with. We were at a Microsoft conference for another job that we had. We used to work together in that job, and we were learning about machine learning stuff. This is like the beginning of AI, probably 10 years ago, and we wanted to build, and we started building a prototype back then of an app that let you identify bugs, but there were just some technical hurdles we couldn't get through. But that was always kind of the dream of we wanted to have this feature. So when we released this last year, I was so excited to get this out because this and the garden planner, the visual garden planner, were kind of the two big dreams when we started this. We wanted to have it to where you could visually lay out your garden and then take a picture of something in your garden and just tell you what it is and what to do about it. So that is Growbot.
And I'll pop up that picture here real quick. I agree. Honestly, these arches are my favorite part of the garden out there. We have several of these, and oh my gosh, it's amazing. Whenever we have stuff growing up, it is so beautiful, and it is so calming just walking through the arch. And I love it. Yes, it's my favorite spot in the garden too.
Before we announce our winner, I want to call out one more time that we have an awesome sale going on Park Seed right now. So the Biodome you can get for $25 right now, and it is normally $40. So this is a really good deal. This is pretty much exclusively what we use for seed starting. Carrie's got some behind her now showing what all we've got. Oops, I hit the wrong button, Carrie.
To make it go or us go away.
Way here, I
There
fixed
we
it.
go. Hello.
Hello.
Okay. So we have a winner. And then, like Dale said too, if you are watching this after the fact, still be commenting away, and you guys can be entered in to win, and I will announce that winner at the beginning of our next live stream next Tuesday, same time, same place. So this week it is congratulations to Todd. Congratulations. Send me an email at info@seedtospoon.net and we will get you hooked up with your free 1-year premium Seed to Spoon app subscription along with some Park Seed seeds.
Awesome. Congratulations. Again, the prompt is still showing the one from last week, so I don't know what everyone else is seeing.
They saw it right last time, so hopefully they see it right this time.
I think it's just a bug then. I think I'm the one.
You're the only one that it affects.
That's fine.
Well, congratulations again, and I hope to see you all same time, same place next Tuesday. Yeah, and in the meantime, if you aren't following any of us on social, we're everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you name it, we're there. So yeah, we'll see you all there.
Thanks for joining, everyone. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Bye.